Section 16.3 Mechanisms of Divergence. Introduction. I'll be going over adaptations to different habitats, followed by an example of the yellow monkey flower, assortative mating, followed by an example on the Hawaiian cricket genus Lapala, divergence interaction, and a cichlid example. Adaptations to different habitats. Mechanisms of isolation, including geographic isolation, vicariance, polyploidy, and chromosomal changes, are necessary for speciation to occur, but isolation must be followed by or coincide with divergence in order for complete speciation. The most frequent mechanisms of divergence found in nature are due to ecological factors, primarily natural selection, and biotic factors such as competition or predation, and abiotic factors such as the climate assist with this process. We know that populations adapt over time, and different selection pressures on the same species living in multiple habitats often leads to phenotypic and genetic divergence. When paired with limited gene flow, this can also lead to speciation. Yellow monkey flower example. Through experiments by David Lowery and John Willis in 2010, it was proven that the yellow monkey flower, scientifically known as Mimulus guttatus, is an example of evolution by natural selection. There are two distinct ecotypes in western North America that this species lives in. One on the Pacific coast, where the species exhibits a perennial life history, living year-round in consistently moist soil, and invests a large amount of energy in early season vegetative growth with late summer flower production. This type can be seen on the left. Species living in the inland ecotype, on the other hand, exhibit an annual life history, with hot, dry summers that cause them to die out by the end of the season, so they put little investment into vegetative growth and flower and set seeds promptly in early summer. This type can be seen on the right. Lowery and Willis collected plants from both ecotypes and replanted them in their native and alternative habitats, hypothesizing that if natural selection favors certain life history strategies, reproductive success and survival will differ in each habitat based on the plant's strategy types. Their hypothesis was true, and found that the plants in their native habitats had the highest rates of reproductive success and survival. The researchers also measured the effects of a particular genome region on reproductive success and survival through controlled breeding. This experiment showed that a mostly perennial genome with a critical region from the annual population has an intermediate fitness type. They also found that the critical genomic region of the plants from these two ecotypes have inverted DNA bases that are read in opposite directions. These kinds of chromosomal inversions suppress recombinations between the two types because the nucleotides in the inverted region do not match for meiosis, so crossing over cannot occur, so these genes will always be inherited together and cannot be shuffled between the two ecotypes. This raises the possibility, which has also been suggested by others, that chromosomal inversions may sometimes play an important role in adaptive divergence and perhaps speciation. Assortative mating. Assortative mating is when individuals with certain traits more often choose mates that share those same traits. Successful sexual reproduction always involves finding and choosing a mate, leading to the opportunity for sexual selection to act on the involved mating phenotypes. Traits that influence the way a species chooses a mate can lead to assortative mating. When assortative mating is strong enough, it has the ability to contribute to reproductive isolation between populations that may lead to speciation. Hawaiian cricket genus Lapala example. Experiments in 2005 by Mendelson and Shaw, 2010 by Shaw and colleagues, as well as others, have proven that the Lopala genus of crickets are an example of speciation largely due to sexual selection, opposed to ecological differences. In this genus, consisting of 38 different species, females choose males based on songs produced by specialized wing structures consisting of pulses in a simple series. Within each species, the pulse rate is highly conserved but varies between different species. One study showed that males from the species L. cohalensis were found to have a higher pulse rate than the males from the species L. paranigra, which can be seen from the graph. Females were found to prefer songs that are most closely matched to the rate of their own species. Mendelssohn and Shaw found that the male song and female preference for song are traits that are important in maintaining reproductive isolation among the species, and that these traits are actually genetically linked and cannot be broken. While the molecular mechanism causing this genetic correlation is not yet known, the presence of the correlation provides a captivating reason as to why the genus has diverged into so many different species. Divergence interaction. There are many instances in biological systems where both environmental factors and mating preference interact. Differing habitats have the ability to influence traits that are involved in mating choice, causing populations to diverge. Redfish bluefish example. Tarai and colleagues explored fish in Lake Victoria in Africa, where yellow and red wavelengths of light can be absorbed much deeper than blue wavelengths of light. LWS is a key opsin gene related to color vision found in cichlid species in this lake, and depending on the depth and clarity of the water that the fish inhabit, there are variations in their alleles for this gene. As a result of natural selection for improved color vision, species found in deeper depths have LWS alleles that respond more strongly to red light, while species in shallower depths have LWS alleles that respond more strongly to blue light. Two sympatric species can be found at many different islands within Lake Victoria. Pundamelia, shown in the photo on the left, are often found in shallower water, and the males typically exhibit a blue-gray coloration, so we will refer to these as the bluefish. Pundamelia nyariri, shown on the right, are often found in deeper water, and males have more of a yellow coloration featuring a bright red dorsum, so we will refer to these fish as the redfish. The coloration is used to attract females of the corresponding species. However, there is also a range of intermediate phenotypes present at some islands, which is shown in the middle of the photo. Not only is water depth an important habitat characteristic, but so is water quality, and both vary between islands. At islands with lower water clarity, the two species have less divergent phenotypes, making the fish look more similar and coexist more closely in relatively shallower waters. At islands with higher water clarity, the divergence is much more distinct. Seehausen and colleagues hypothesized that speciation by sensory drive causes an evolutionary connection between the observed differences in the species. This hypothesis begins with the observation that adaptation to different habitats can result in divergence between populations and sensory phenotypes, such as visual perception of different colors of light. Under sensory drive, the differing sensory abilities of two populations then influence the way that individuals choose mates using the same sensory trait. By measuring male color and LWS opsin allele frequency of cichlids collected at different depths at different islands, as well as by measuring the female preference for male color, Seehausen found support for the sensory drive hypothesis. There was a greater divergence in male color and LWS opsin allele frequency between species at sites with clearer water, and females from islands with clearer water showed a much stronger color preference, which indicates stronger assortative mating at sites with clearer water. In conclusion, for speciation to occur, there must be isolation as well as divergence. Habitat characteristics, as shown by the yellow monkeyflower example, and mating preferences, as shown by the Hawaiian cricket example, are both mechanisms of divergence. It's also possible for the two of them to interact, as shown by the cichlid example. References.